I have come to discover as a Christian that you cannot deal properly with the kingdom of darkness or the powers of hell or any mountain without having authority that is fiery. In the book of Acts chapter 7, Acts chapter 7 from verses 23 to 29, the Bible says when Moses became 40 years old, it came into the mind of Moses to visit with his brethren. And as Moses was visiting with his brethren, the Bible says Moses saw an Egyptian maltreating an Israeli or an Israelite. And Moses, in an attempt to defend the Israelites, killed the Egyptian. And the night came and the second morning came. The second day, as Moses was going out, Moses saw two Israelites fighting. Now, these are two brothers. Moses moved towards them and asked them, "You are brothers. Why are you fighting one another?" And the Bible says they thrusted Moses aside. And they asked him, "Who made you a ruler?" When they asked Moses that day, "Who made you a ruler over us?" the question they were asking him was the question of authority. They were asking Moses, "You want to bring God out of captivity? Where is your rod of fire?" Moses thought they should have understood that it was by his hand that God will deliver Israel. And I see the children of Israel say, the rod of wickedness does not respond to zeal. It responds to the rod of fire. So they asked Moses again, "Where is your rod of fire?" And on the day that should have been the day of Moses' shining, Moses was speechless. On the day that your voice needs to be heard, may you not be speechless. The day of your remembrance has come. Moses was saying, "Who is calling my name after 40 years? As far as I'm concerned, no more destiny." And God said, "I have opened the Exodus chapter 3 of your life. I remember you today." So God said to Moses, "The time has come to return to the destiny that you abandoned 40 years ago." Moses said to the Lord in Exodus chapter 3, "How can I make this thing happen?" When they ask me, "Who sent me?" Because Moses remembered he could not answer the question of who made you that year. And the Lord said to Moses, "Tell them, I am who I am." But despite the fact that God said, "I am who I am," Moses was still afraid. So now God asked Moses, Exodus chapter 4, starting from verse 1, the Bible says, God asked Moses, "What is that in your hand?" When God asks you a question, he already knows the answer. So God said to Moses, "What is it in your hand?" He said, "The rod." He said, "Submit that authority before me." So Moses took the authority as if God was saying to him, if we must proceed to the next level, the rod of Moses must become the rod of fire. So he said, "Cast that rod." And Moses threw the rod on the ground. From the time Moses picked the rod ceased being the rod of Moses. It became the rod of fire. Moses submitted the authority of man to fire. And as soon as God found the rod on the ground, God stepped into the rod. Moses now could stand before Pharaoh. Who dare stands before an established wickedness without the rod of fire? So now Moses stood before Pharaoh and said, "Thus saith the Lord, let my people go." Pharaoh said, Exodus chapter 5 verse 2. Exodus chapter 5 verse 2. Pharaoh said, "I don't know the Lord. Who is he that I should obey him?" And the rod of fire in Moses' hand performed almost all the miracles that God did through him in Egypt, only because God mixed with the authority of man, the rod of fire.